Welcome to another Rooster Talk. Today I've got Veronica Lind here with me from Vermilion Pinstripes, a marketing agency out of Port Macquarie. So Veronica, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Noel, for having me. My name is Veronica Lind. I'm the co-founder of Vermilion Pinstripes, which is a modern full-service marketing and communications agency. And what we do is to help brands build business confidence so that they can be happy businesses. So the company started off as Pinstripes Communications in Singapore about 11 years ago. And we were doing traditional PR and communications work. And I started Vermilion Marketing 5 years ago in Australia. But recognizing the gray areas between marketing and communications and how they kind of overlap together, we came together as Vermilion Pinstripes 3 years ago. I stepped into the technology profession when I was 18 years old, so I'm always fascinated with technology. And that is good because I could use technology in modern marketing and communications to further humanize the brand. So during that time, I created a modern marketing framework, and it was put together based on more than 25 years in business and marketing consulting. And now that particular modern marketing framework is trademarked, it's been accepted, so that's good news. So Vermilion Pinstripes, we have a team of about 8 people servicing small businesses and large corporate companies across Asia Pacific.
Yeah, well, Veronica, we sort of crossed paths the last time I spoke to your client,
Yes.
Blue Tea. I was intrigued and fascinated, impressed with their website, and I asked who was behind this, and we had a chat about how marketing and things like that. So I was really impressed with your background and what you've done, which I think relates to a bit to what I'm doing here with Samso. One of the key issues, obviously, we spoke about was brand identification. Give us your thoughts on industry. I know some industry feels that they don't need brand identification. I mean, is that a no-no in your industry?
No, but first of all, thank you for being impressed with her website. You mentioned brand identity, which is only one aspect of branding, and that is important for everyone, right? For example, from individuals who are seeking jobs, you want to position yourself as the person having the skills, the experience, and the characteristics that suit the company and the role. To businesses selling products and services. For example, if 2 cafes sell coffees using the same brand of coffee beans, and you always prefer to go to one particular cafe, that's because of the brand experience you connect with that particular cafe. Or for corporations seeking investors, the branding helps build trust, and that will help build meaningful partnerships. So to me, even God needs branding. I mean, you look at religion, right? You need to build a connection to build faithful followers. So I call this whole branding exercise the art and science of selling without selling. So the short answer is no. There's no sector that does not need brand identification.
I mean, that's sort of my thoughts in terms of how you try and engage in my industry, obviously, or you're continually engaging sort of potential investors or current investors in our sort of small cap mineral resource industry. A lot of the feedback I get from people is that they want to choose the right time to engage. They will go and say, "Oh, wait till we got this news and that news." And my response is that engagement is a long-term process. You need to build that, as you say, a relationship. You need to build that, and that takes time. Share your thoughts. I think you've been in this industry a lot longer than I have. What's your thought?
marketing and branding is a continuation exercise. It's not something that you do now or when you need it and then you stop, right? I understand that the companies like, that you deal with, for example, the ASX companies, if they have resistance on branding, then again, my answer is no. If you don't have a brand, it shows that you don't have a purpose. People don't know why they come to work for your company. Stakeholders won't understand why you exist. It's like a person with no name, no identity. It's quite scary if you feel that you have no existence in the universe. It's like having no soul. So even my little robot behind has a name, right? Her name is Mindy, and her job is to bring technology to this modern marketing. So if you ask me why ASX companies look at branding and why they need branding, firstly is to respond to the public and to assure the public and the key stakeholders about their strategic repositioning. Like for example, who they are, what they intend to do now, and what they intend to do in the future in terms of the business development, product development, market development, etc. Or why are they taking these actions, how they're doing it, how are they managing those developments, and what is their value proposition. Secondly, we talk about branding to build trust and build confidence in the marketplace, right? One of the deliverables for this is, for example, the company's annual report. But it's more than just the annual report that you need to keep up with the momentum, right? To keep the public informed of your continuation from the public report that you have announced, the strategic intents and whatever. And this whole continuation is branding, is marketing, is communications. And like I said, branding will help you sell without selling. The third aspect for ASX companies to brand is to be able to engage with the community in the target segment that they want to engage. So that community will think positively about your brand, and that makes your brand more admirable. So in this modern world with the internet, with the social media, branding is what people will perceive of you, and you want to shape that perception to make sure that it's a positive perception, and that is branding. So branding is so important, right? It's like a living asset of that organization. It gives commercial value. And if you have a strong branding exercise, it increases your business value. So, and this is what we call brand valuation. It's a commercial valuation of that brand derived from the consumer perception, recognition, and trust. And this goes hand in hand with what we call brand equity. So if you have a powerful brand, it makes your business invaluable to investors, shareholders, and potential buyers.
Yeah, I guess brand is everybody brands. I mean, I remember reading Domino's would send out a pamphlet every week, and if they said that if they stopped it for 1 week, they can actually count the number of percentage loss in sales. So I guess in some ways, it speaks for itself that you need to get your name out there. Which brings to so the old thought of the website. I guess in the beginning of websites, everyone said, "Oh, you need to." That's where you identify your business. That's where people go to. So everyone's building websites, and then suddenly social media turns up, and it almost seems as if like people are saying, "Oh, look, I don't really need a website. I've got social media. I've got Facebook groups. I've got my Twitter account, my LinkedIn." But I think you're the best person to explain this. But I think that the website's actually still as important, or if not more important today than it was because of the social media leads out there. Maybe just share thoughts on that.
Yeah. It is true, you still need a website. There's so many things you can do now with what I call a modern website. For example, you talked about my blue tea, which whom you interviewed a few weeks ago. She ran her entire business on her website, and websites nowadays are very interactive, right? So I've connected her Facebook Messenger chat onto the website, so she can chat, she can solve problems for customers, and at the same time persuade customers to buy straight away from her website. The other thing that we included in the website is, for example, TV channel. So she put her recipes, her sales promotion videos onto the website, and these videos contain what I call cards. And you can click on a card and it brings the customers to a different location of the website to learn more about a subject that they're interested in, or they just purchase the product right there and then. So, and in Blue Tea's website, they can do everything, right? From providing information, providing offers, sales. They have their blogs there. They can post social media and schedule social media right from the website, create sales videos, setting up email campaigns, do quotations, do invoicing, run the entire stores, check stocks, check shipping status, all from one website platform. And websites can be personalized as well. So if you, for example, take action on the Vermilion Pinstripes website, then you go to certain pages, the website address you by your personal name. Websites can now track behaviors of the customer. And let's say if you're interested in press releases on my website, then the website will encourage you to view other pages relating to that same subject, or encourage you to download an ebook, or set up a free consult. And that is all connected to the back end of our CRM. So the salespeople can follow up and nurture their interest even further. Now, social media is good. It's used to attract an interest, and it's used to engage your fans, but you drive them back to the website. So the whole intent is all this online components, website, social media, and so on, is to be able to bring the customer along the buying cycle and let them experience what your brand is about, right? They all work hand in hand depending on how you orchestrate that brand's buying journey. So again, more importantly is get them to experience your brand.
I guess in some ways, with the onset of technology, like your Mindy, is it behind you?
Mindy.
We can almost create and sustain a virtual community, and in times where companies can't go out to conferences and things like that, it is even more important today, I think, in my opinion, to try and nurture your community with the website, and that's the like we call a landing page, I guess, where you can drive a lot of this communication from.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do, whether it's blogs or landing page or some other pages on the website. For ASX companies, for example, they have what they call news pages. And these news pages are pages where investors come and take a look and say, okay, what you are doing, what's the latest strategy you have, or latest development, or latest market segment that you're going after, or products that you're going to launch, and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So when you talk about social media, yes, it's a good engagement platform and it helps extend your reach. One big mistake I feel ASX companies do is they just talk about themselves, right? They talk about what they do, who they are, what they're good at, and how are they going to make that next big money, right? But social media allows them to be more personable, more relatable, and become more admirable, because it helps them shape positive brand experience and brand perceptions. So for example, right, if you're an ethical company and you want to clean up the oceans, and you talk about how you use recyclable materials and byproducts, if customers buy products from you, means they're investing money to help you clear up ocean litter with a particular partner. or social media can kind of showcase examples of innovation that you do to make the world a better place. It can also be an educational platform. For example, Blue Tea, right? When she sells her products, which is quite rare products, then she provides recipes and show people how to make pink gin, for example, right? But before you land into all these websites and social media platforms, I think it's important to understand who you're targeting, right? And where do they hang out and how you can reach them using the right social channel. So for example, if you're a company executive and you're seeking investor relationships, then you have to think, what's the best channel to reach them professionally? Is it LinkedIn? If it's LinkedIn, then you have to think about, should you invest in Sales Navigator? Or if you then you have to decide, right, which channel will give you mileage on activating your brand, and which channel will give you more mileage in getting leads for sales. So we ran a webinar on video marketing a few days ago, and Lee from my Blue Tea was there, and she said, you have to work it. You can't just put a video out there or say, I have this post or I have a website and that's it. You have to work it, right? You got to do hashtags, you got to comment on social posts, you got to encourage other comments, you share it to groups and other platforms to get better reach. You tag influencers so people notice you. You message people who commented or like your post or whatever, and tell them what help you want from them, right? For example, she would say, can you recommend me to so and so? I would like to reach out to this cafe or something. Or could you give me a Google review because that's important for my business? So all these online channels that you put together, you have to work it, and you have to see which are the online channels you want to put together to create that buyer's journey.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that you touched on, that you need to feed your social media. In being proactive in that sector, is there a point where you feed it too much? Is there a point of you feeding your social media platforms too much?
Again, that depends on your target audience, right? And it's also about consistency. If you feed once a day, for example, then make sure you're consistent about feeding it once a day. If you have feeds or posts 3 times a week, then make sure it's consistent as well. You don't put a post like every day I put a post, or I do a post 5 times a day, and then suddenly you stop for 1 whole month and you expect to have that same results, right? So the consistency is important.
Yeah. Oh, look, Veronica, thanks for your time. It's fantastic. I think it's good feedback. I think a lot of the issues with the companies that are out there is that they don't still quite understand how best to tackle this scenario. There's just too many platforms, too many products, I guess, in some ways. But yeah, well, look, thank you for your time. And maybe we could do this a bit more often, maybe once a month, just give people an update of what's out there and what's been happening.
Yep. Like you say, there's lots of platforms and ways of doing branding. The most important thing is to understand your audience and your intent, and then use the best channel to optimize your brand, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy to have more sessions to help people understand that.
All right. Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you, Noel.
Okay. Bye.